Subaru has always kept the STI's power numbers around 300 horsepower and 290 pound-feet of torque, which is frustrating for a lot of owners as these numbers never significantly increased for the nearly 3 decades the STI was in production. So enthusiasts took matters in their own hands and started to modify them to get that power increase we all want. But what if I told you there were STIs that you could have bought that had around 400 horsepower out of the box? They were out there, but not mass produced and cost a whole lot more than the standard run STI. Before we get into it, I'm Sep, a car enthusiast making videos for enthusiasts like yourselves, so please like and subscribe to get your weekly dose of YouTube car content. In 2018, Subaru Japan released the WRX STI TC380, pushing around 380 horsepower. This car is Subaru's highest horsepower consumer STI that they have created with a lot of help from Toshihiro Arai. If you guys don't know him, he is a legendary Subaru rally car driver. He drove for the Subaru World Rally Team in the late 1990s and early 2000s, and eventually made his own rally team called Team Arai. His rally team competed in the PWRC and won the world title in 2005 and 2007, with of course a rally spec Subaru WRX STI. Since then, his team participated in rallies like the All Rally Japan Championship, where he worked closely with Subaru Technica International. Therefore, when Subaru wanted to make a high horsepower STI, no better person to call upon than someone with the experience like Mr. Arai. To make this power, the STI needed some modifications, including a GT3 RS Sport Turbo from HKS, a HKS exhaust system, and an Arai Motorsport air filter. To help with the crazy G-forces this STI will see, Arai stiffened the front end with their own member brace, and on the inside, to brace the driver, SR6 Recaro seats replaced the less aggressive OEM seats. To differentiate the TC380 amongst the regular JDM STIs, you get TC380 badging all over, like on the rear end, in the engine bay, in the interior, and even on a custom-made Italian leather key holder. Now, if you wanted to buy one brand new back in 2018, you'd have to be living in Japan and likely be picked in a lottery of buyers, as the TC380 was limited to only 50 examples. The TC380 cost around 44,000 USD at the exchange rate back then, which isn't terrible considering you get nearly 400 horsepower and a factory warranty backed by Subaru. This car is proof that Subaru Technica International is able to make a higher horsepower STI, but as with anything we want from Subaru, it's exclusive to overseas markets, or too expensive, or in limited numbers, or a combination of all three. The next car is made by a motorsport company that really needs no introduction, but I'll give one anyways. Cosworth is a household name for car enthusiasts. They've built and engineered cars since 1958, where they've left their mark in Formula 1, rally championships, Indy cars, supercars, and even Subaru hatchbacks. In 2010, Cosworth got their hands on the UK spec STI hatch and began revamping it under a new name, the CS400. Cosworth added performance goodies that make even the TC380 look boring. The engine gets upgraded pistons, forged connecting rods, Cosworth bearings, heavy-duty cylinder heads, a multi-layer head gasket, and a high-pressure oil pump. The turbo also gets upgraded along with the entire exhaust system. The result of all this is an impressive power output of 395 horsepower and 400 pound-feet of torque. This propels the Cosworth STI from 0 to 60 miles per hour in only 3.7 seconds, an absolute rocket in a straight line. For cornering performance, the Super Hot Hatch has a co-engineered suspension system by Bilstein and Eibach, two of the best names in the suspension game. To slow down the CS400, AP Racing front brakes replace the stock Brembos, allowing you to have stopping power just as impressive as its acceleration. To buy the CS400 back in 2010, you would have to live in the UK and have 50,000 British pounds on hand, which is equated to be between 75,000 to 80,000 USD. Worth the price? Maybe for the most diehard Subaru enthusiasts, as only 75 examples were made and most of them are probably collector items now. Last thing to mention about the CS400, just like the TC380, this car came equipped with a factory warranty, but backed up by Cosworth rather than Subaru directly. The next company, which does need an introduction because I have never heard of them before making this video, is called Litchfield Imports. They are a performance tuning shop based in the UK, and they have a wide range of expertise on different manufacturers such as Audi, BMW, Ferrari, McLaren, Nissan, Mercedes, Porsche, Volkswagen, and of course, Subaru. In the early 2000s, Litchfield imported new Spec C STIs from Japan, as they were the only company at the time who had passed the relevant EU approval tests, then resold them to the UK market, as the Spec C had Japanese exclusive features not offered on the STI sold on the UK dealership lots. Then in 2003, when Subaru changed the Spec C to be more bare bones by removing creature comforts like electric windows and air conditioning, Litchfield decided to create their own STI with the performance but without the lack of features. This STI was called the Type 25. Under the hood, instead of the 2-liter EJ20 from the Spec C, Litchfield installed the 2.5-liter bottom end from the USDM model, and then mated it to the JDM heads and twin-scroll turbo setup. Then, thanks to some tuning magic from Power Station, the power increases to a healthy output of 360 horsepower and 356 pound-feet of torque. However, the real power is felt behind the wheel, as this JDM USDM UK hybrid of a STI gets to 60 miles per hour from a standstill in a little under 4 seconds. Other modifications Litchfield added include AST coilovers and upgraded brakes for increased handling and stopping performance. The Type 25 was reviewed by many car journalists when it was released, and the likes of Chris Harris called the Type 25 the best Impreza on planet Earth. This car cost £34,000 when it was released, or back in 2004 was equivalent to 62,000 USD. With only 38 variants, this was not an easy car to obtain, but they all sold with no issues to some very happy Subaru customers. Following the success of the Type 25 Mark I, Litchfield ushered in the Type 25 Mark II under the new 2006 Hawkeye Generation STI. This time around, the short block gets built by Cosworth, with Cosworth's own forged pistons and connecting rods. Then the engine gets shipped directly to Litchfield, where they assemble the long block with Cosworth-honed big valve ported cylinder heads. Then adding on a custom exhaust system from Miltech and a larger Garrett turbo, the heart of the Subi thumps to a tune of 415 horsepower and 420 pound-feet of torque, which nearly matches the power output of the 997 GT3 released the same year. From a standstill, the Type 25 Mark II rips to 60 miles per hour in 3.8 seconds, which is as quick as the Ferrari F430, but at a fraction of the cost. The Type 25 Mark II was even rarer than its predecessor, at only 18 examples. Inverse to the production numbers, the cost increased to £40,000 or close to 75,000 USD. So surprise, surprise, you need deep pockets for a pre-built 400 plus horsepower STI. If you thought 2 variants of high horsepower STIs were not enough, Litchfield released the Type 20 in 2010 with the STI hatch body style. Litchfield ditched the 2.5 liter and went back to JDM roots with the EJ207 found in the JDM STIs. Litchfield did its typical magic to this engine, adding a new intake system, larger twin-scroll turbo, and Miltech exhaust system. These upgrades result in 395 horsepower and 375 pound-feet of torque out of the Japanese spec EJ20. Evo magazine tested the Type 20 on a wet surface, and the hot hatch accelerated to 60 miles per hour in 4.1 seconds, which they note to be the exact same time they achieved by an Audi R8 in the dry. When it comes to handling, the Type 20 received the same treatment as the 2 previous Litchfield creations, with AST adjustable coilover suspension and upgraded anti-roll bars. The Type 20 cost £37,000 in 2010, or around $60,000 USD adjusted for 2010 conversion rates. So actually cheaper than the Type 25 variant and way more cheaper than the £50,000 Cosworth CS400. What a time to be alive back in 2010 if money was no object and you lived in the UK. You had the option to go buy the Type 20 or the CS400. Now we just get the option of buying a new WRX with acronyms like TR, TS, but never the STI. Now let's introduce the next STI. Unlike the Cosworth CS400 and the Litchfield Type 20 and 25, this STI was created by Subaru themselves and out of all places for the South African market. It is called the Diamond Edition STI. To commemorate the 30th anniversary of STI, Subaru decided to bless the South African market with the second highest horsepower factory STI, second only to the TC380 of course. At 348 horsepower and 342 pound-feet of torque, this car will make you go bananas. Sorry, I say bananas because the yellow neon aero kit is ridiculous in my opinion. I know this is much less than 400 horsepower, so yes, I know I'm doing some clickbait, but this car is interesting and should be brought up in this video. To achieve this power output, Subaru only added a freer flowing exhaust and an ECU remap, which is a little crazy to think about because the S209 peak power output is less at 341 horsepower and 330 pound-feet of torque, but with a lot more changes like an upgraded turbo, intake, fuel pump, and injectors. This somewhat annoys me just because everyone wanted a higher horsepower STI. Well, we still do actually. And the Diamond Edition is a perfect example of what could have made Subaru great again. If a sportier exhaust and retuned ECU made close to 350 horsepower, then why couldn't they have done that years ago while the STI was still in production? It just doesn't make sense to me. Only 30 lucky South African Subaru enthusiasts were able to buy this limited edition STI at a cost of 56,000 USD back in 2018. On that note, if you had a wallet fat enough and lived in either Japan, UK, or South Africa, which one of these Subis would you have bought? Let me know down in the comments. Personally, for me, I would have loved either any of the two STI hatchbacks, so the CS400 or Type 20, because who doesn't love a hot hatch? Anyways, that's it for this video. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed. I'll catch you all in the next one. Take care.